Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we continue the playoffs in Season 6 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series, playoff race number 2, race number 28. As we get ready to go racing at another debuting track, this is Chatham Raceway, the 1.3-mile, 8-corner roval, and it's going to be the middle race of the first round of the playoffs. 16 drivers beginning this journey last week after the first playoff race at Gateway. Now they kind of have an idea of where they stand and getting themselves prepared for next week's elimination race. But here today, it's a track they've never been to, we've never been to, so everybody's kind of got a blank slate right now and trying to figure out what they're going to have to do in today's 50-lapper. With last week, Caleb Fogler going to victory lane for the first time this season, first time in his career. No driver of our 16 playoff contenders has locked themselves into the round of 12. Same could be said here today. We've got quite a number of non-playoff drivers starting up at the front of the field, but the big question here is also going to be, is track position going to be king? We've seen track position be very important at a couple of our road courses this season. Sonoma seemed to be a good track position track as far as if we stayed green. It was kind of a jumble with how Wreckfest it was. Charlotte Roval was definitely a track position racetrack. Watkins Glen, kind of 50-50. All really depended on how that strategy split up. But here today, will it be a track position track, or will somebody deep in the field be able to work their way up to the front, either through the ability to have a fast race car and make passes, or through potential pit strategy later on in this race? I know there's a number of playoff drivers that didn't get the best benefit of qualifying here this weekend that would love it to be the latter. They'd love to be able to pick up as many spots as they can, because the last thing you want to do is lose points, lose positions, and go into Nashville Superspeedway next week's first elimination race in a must-win situation. But on the front row, it's a couple of drivers that know a thing or two about road course racing, though granted neither one of them have won a road course race here in Duracell Cup Series competition. Anthony McCurry, very well-known road course ringer. He lines up on the pole position. Of course, Anthony 38th in points. He's just looking to end out the season with a checkered flag or two. But alongside of him is Rick Johnson, the rookie playoff contender. And Rick Johnson comes to this race 14th in playoff points. Granted, he's only 4 points behind that 12th in the standings cut line that everybody's either trying to be ahead or be around, at least, heading into next week. Rick Johnson, his victory at Texas, but not really seeing him perform all that well on the road courses. Maybe here today, he could be the first playoff driver to lock himself up a spot in the round of 12. Speaking of playoff drivers, there's one starting kitty corner to him. That is Charles Sanford. Sanford, our winner from Atlanta. He is 6th in playoff standings right now, and he is, if my math's right, 14 points, I believe, ahead of the cut line. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's show you the playoff grid coming into this race. You can see that Kyle Matthews is now the new playoffs points leader. Nick Gunther, that 35-point gap that he had between himself and most of his competition with the bonus points, it's evaporated already. He's dropped to 2nd, 3 points out of the points lead. Michael Norman's 5 points back, Laura Chung 6 points back, and Destin Bolin 8 points back. What you are seeing right now, the plus and minuses, that is drivers in regards to that 12th in the standings cut line. RJ Bishop, Rick Johnson, Will Howard, and Ryan Butcher right now below the cut line. Ali Liera is the cut line, the measuring stick driver for this race. Be interesting to watch all those drivers either just above or just below the cut line, see who moves up, who falls down based off of the finishing results from today's race. But it's time to go down trackside. It is time to get those most famous words in motorsports, and it is time to go racing here at Chatham.
Drivers, start your engines!
Toyota Tundra pace car, or Toyota Tundra, wow, Toyota Camry TRD pace car. It's not a truck, it's a car. It's going to lead the 42 car field. Off the grid, right side of your screen, you will see the starting lineup for today's race. Playoff drivers, highlighted in yellow. Couple of disclaimers that we're going to have here before we even get underway. If a caution comes out, we will go back, we will take an initial look at what caused the yellow flag. Follow-up angles and replays will be done courtesy of the NNSCRA split cam, because this is a pretty short roval. Doesn't take very long to get around here. And subsequently, this is a track that does road course yellows, much like we had at Watkins Glen. Caution comes out. Field gets the opportunity to pit the next time around. Lights go out top the pace car. We go green the following lap. So not a whole lot of time to be able to go in depth on replays for the possibility that we may end up missing the restarts. So again, we will show the initial replay of what brings out the caution on full screen. The other angles will be shown courtesy of the NNSCRA split cam. Well, what do we expect here today? First time Chatham has appeared on the Duracell Cup Series schedule. It's in a very pivotal part of the playoffs. Green flag is in the air. Let's go racing at Chatham. Curry takes the early advantage into the long sweeping left-hand turn 1. Charles Sanford gonna try and take second. Here comes the treacherous part of the track. The S's, turns 2, 3, and 4 rather. Matt Haas gonna try to get third from Rick Johnson. Keith Batson, playoff driver, right there as well. As Matt Haas uses the rumble strip to his advantage, he will move into the runner-up spot. We've got a car already on pit road. That's Mitchell Collins, and the caution is out. Caution's out for the first time here today. And already a playoff driver in trouble. Collins came into this race 9th in points, 10 points ahead of the cut line. Cody Lamas involved as well, smoke billowing from beneath the Florida Panthers Chevrolet Camaro. And I'm not certain if Collins went off course, maybe got caught in the sand trap, might have gotten beached up on one of the rumble strips. Mentioned it's very quick yellows here, so we are going to quickly jump back and try and see if we can grab a replay of what happened. See if anybody else was involved. Looks like maybe it was just a 2-car incident. This was down in that treacherous area, so I was talking about the downhill into turn 2. Let's see if Collins gets hit. Oh yeah, it was actually Ryan Butcher and RJ Bishop making contact with each other that sent Bishop into Collins. Nowhere for Cody Lamas to go, and Quentin Moore got spun off track, although does not necessarily look like he got any damage. Lights are out atop the pace car in just a moment here, so again, you're going to be seeing other angles of what just happened there with Collins and Lamas and Quentin Moore, courtesy of the NNSCRA split cam. As pit road was open, I don't think we had really any of the front runners come down pit lane. Maybe a couple of drivers mid-pack towards the rear of the field, but out of the race. Cody Lamas and Mitchell Collins already pushed back to the garage area. That is not good for the 2-time winner, Mitchell Collins, who I said only had 10 points between himself and that cut line. He will more than likely, as he'll finish dead last today, he will fall below the cut line. And I don't know if it's going to be a must-win situation, but he is definitely going to need a good run next week at Nashville Superspeedway. Notice that the 77 of Laura Chung was moving down the running order, and there she is on pit road. I don't see any visible damage on the Yahoo Toyota Camry, so I'm going to assume this was a regularly scheduled stop. Laura Chung started this race from 36th, so it wasn't going to lose her a lot of track position if she came to pit road. So, yeah, and why not? Roll the dice. Try a little bit of strategy there. See if it works out later on in this race. Didn't take us long for the first caution of the day. Let's see now with a single file restart if we can get into a bit of a long green flag run as McCrory, Samper, Haas, Johnson, Batson. That was the top 5 coming back to the stripe. And Rick Johnson going to work for third on Matt Haas. James Qualls to the inside of Keith Batson for the 5th position. Let's keep an eye back here of these double wide battles. One slip up can, as we saw already with the first caution, have catastrophic results. Looks like everybody pretty well clear all the way back through. Dylan Young was 3 wide with Sam Ryder and Noah Hendrickson for a brief moment. And caution's out again. Getting some early yellows here. Drivers maybe a little bit jumpy. Trying to get every position they can, knowing that if we get into a long green flag run, things are going to get spread out. And may have involved another playoff driver. This time it could have been the 09 of Kyle Matthews. There is some right side damage on the Kings Island Chevrolet. Had that great run last week in the first playoff race at Nashville. Or not Nashville, wow. I thought of Nashville as the elimination race, but no, at Gateway. And, ooh, might have been some teammates. Matthews, of course, coming in as the points leader. Almost kind of looked like Kyle checked up for Jessica Shelton. It ran him wide. He gets into Dylan Poteet, and then that contact sends him into his teammate Cole Deaver in the 08. You see the right side damage. That was definitely contact with the tire barrier. Don't know if that's going to affect the 09 in terms of speed for the remainder of this race or not, but we'll have to wait and see. Certainly lost him a lot of track position. Kyle started this race from 16th, and this is going to put him towards the back. Should get the lights out this time. Anthony McCurry, Charles Sanford, Matt Haas, Rick Johnson, now James Qualls at the top 5. Keith Batson dropped back to 6th, Hendrickson 7th, Dylan Young, Nathan Orman, Samuel Ryder scored the top 10. Laura Chung was the only driver that came to pit road under the last caution. Let's see if anybody was on pit road this caution. Yeah, we got a few drivers. Rob Evans, RJ Bishop, Jose Mills, Reese Banks. That's Benjamin Miles. You can't see him behind that huge wall there coming off of pit road. Looks like those were the drivers that pit. Surprisingly, amongst them, doesn't look like Kyle Matthews was the driver that pit. Oh, nope, I'm wrong. There's the 09. Just now leaving pit lane. Alright, lights out atop the pace car. Ready to go back green flag racing once again. 2 early yellows in the first 6 laps of this race. Anthony going to get lap 7 on the board as back up through the gears. Matt Haas got himself a really good restart. He was hounding Charles Sanford for second, gapped himself back to 4th place Rick Johnson. Side-by-side battle here, 3 wide almost. Dylan Young, Nathan Orman, Noah Hendrickson, almost a little contact between those 3. They make it work. Dylan Young at 2 for the price of 1. Now he tries to catch up to Keith Batson here. Haas and Sanford for second as caution's out again. Chris Dollerton on pit road. I saw a second driver on pit lane. I couldn't make out who it was. Jack Dunnard just now leaving pit road in the 88. Playoff driver. Dunnard was 8th in points coming into this race. He was 11 points ahead of the cut line. 12th in the standings. Don't know if he was involved in this wreck or not. He seemed to leave pit road awfully quickly. I think he was on pit road when we went back green. And yeah, that's the case. Must have had a flat tire or something because they just changed left sides and then sent him on his way. See if we can find what happened with Chris Dollerton, who came back to take the green in 14th position. And he's just going to get dumped by the 74 of Benjamin Snyder. Boy, sent hard into the tire barriers. Snyder also got the tires, and I think that's probably going to be day done for both of those Ford Mustangs. Tire barriers are unforgiving. You hit them and they will rip your car apart. And indeed, as suspected, just had the telemetry update, and Snyder, Dollerton are out. So 4 drivers already out of the race, not even 10 laps in. Benjamin Snyder will be 39th, Chris Dollerton 40th, Cody Lamas 41st, and Mitchell Collins in 42nd. When you watch the lineup on the top of your screen scroll by, notice that the last few cars running, you got RJ Bishop. Well, actually, no correction. We got some drivers on pit road. Looks like Jesse Turner, Ryan Butcher, Will Howard, Cole Deaver, Al Uliero, Reese Banks, Jose Mills, all were just on pit lane. I was going to mention the fact that it looked like RJ Bishop, Kyle Matthews, Laura Chung, a lot of playoff drivers were going to be starting at the very tail end of the field, and we got a driver out of the race. Ryan Butcher in the 78. After the hard luck he had last week, did not need a bad performance today. 16th in playoff points. 14 points behind the cut line. And this DNF might put Ryan Butcher in a must-win situation heading into next week. You're already seeing what happened with Ryan Butcher, courtesy of the NHRA Split Cam. He's going to finish 38th position. Green flag back in the air for Anthony McCrory. Let's see if we can get into a long green flag run. So far, 9 laps, 3 cautions. And 5 drivers as a result, already back in the garage area. Anthony's not minding these cautions, though. Every lap he leads under yellow is one last lap he has to defend under green, but he got himself a great jump there. About a car length and a half back to Charles Sanford, who's got a rear deck lid full of Matt Haas. Charles got a nice run there through turn 3, though. Through the S's, he'll start to try and close in on Anthony McCrory. Rick Johnson, James Qualls, Keith Batson duking it out for 4th. Looks like we're still green. Are we going to get ourselves a green flag lapping? Yes, we are. How about that? Took us 10 laps, but we finally are green. Sanford trying to hold off Matt Haas. Good battling back here around the 8th position. Noah Hendrickson, Dylan Young, Samuel Ryder. This is for 9th between the 2 and the 63. Give it to Ryder, at least for the moment. And he will take the control of that spot. Rick Johnson gets a run here on Matt Haas. This is for 3rd. Batson showed the nose on James Qualls for 5th place. Qualls was able to hold him off. Oh, drove it in deep there, did Rick Johnson. Almost got into Matt Haas' left rear quarter panel. But Matt Haas continues to hold down that final spot on the podium. Well, let's see if we can get into a long enough green flag run to let race leader Anthony McCrory show us how to get around this 1.3 mile 8-corner Chatham Raceway. Let's go on board with the Turkish Airlines Chevrolet Camaro. caution out. Saw the flagman waving the yellow over the hood of Anthony McCrory. Unscheduled pit stop for the 83 of Will Hoer. You saw Anthony did not get the cleanest lap when we were on board with him because he caught the 83 coming off of turn 1. The good news for Will Hoer, though, is with this yellow flag, he's going to remain on the tail end of the lead lap. I don't know what's going on here. Dustin Bolin in the 12 just flew on by. I just saw Dylan Pote coming off of pit lane. Not sure what the 61's doing. There's Bolin in the 12. Poteet, I believe, is now going to get trapped a lap down unless he's going to be allowed to come around and get his lap back. Where's the 31? There he is. Were Poteet and Bolin the reason for the caution? Let's go back and find out. That caution saving playoff driver Will Hoer. And no, it looks like Poteet and Bolin, it was regularly scheduled pit stops for those two. They hit pit lane of their own accord. Also looked like maybe the 16 of Aliera had made a pit stop there under that green flag run. But she remained on the lead lap. And we're trying to find who the caution was for. Might have been the 34, Nathan Ormond. Ooh. Teammates again. This time, though, out of the KB Racing Enterprises stables. Ormond tries to get a run on Batson and just runs into his right rear quarter panel, causing the 34 to spin out over the rumble strip into the sand pit. Fortunately, he was able to grab a gear, get out of there, and keep going. Unfortunately, though, that broke up what was a nice little green flag run, and just about everybody's on pit road. Got a couple of drivers that played the strategy of taking on, looks like 2 tires or so. They're going to all have to hurry up and catch up here because we're getting ready to go back green. I think we're going to be missing some of the field. Now look at them all still trying to catch up back there. Benjamin Miles, I believe, is going to be the race leader. RJ Bishop, Jose Mills, Jesse Turner, and Destin Bolin. You see Charles Sanford just now leaving pit road in the 0-3. So the short pace laps here, catching some drivers flat-footed. Anthony McCrory is going to go a lap down. I think Sanford's in danger of going a lap down. They were running first and second most of this race. Wow. I don't know all of how that happened. Rick Johnson, James Qualls are just up ahead. They're hoping for a caution to come out here so they can stay on the tail end of the lead lap. As this is the battle for the lead between Benjamin Miles, RJ Bishop. Miles dead last in points. RJ Bishop is coming into this race the first driver outside of the 12th in the standings cut line. He wants to win his way into the round of 12. This race just went kind of topsy-turvy. I feel like I said that last week too when we had that caution come out in the middle of that second round of green flag pit stops. But hey, it's playoff season. Everything's topsy-turvy. Ooh, Miles, I think he's trying to make sure he doesn't run over Charles Sanford in turn. He's giving RJ Bishop a lot of opportunities to get a run on him and maybe make a pass for the race lead. Jose Mills, who's already made 2 pit stops under the first 2 cautions of the race, he's now up to 3rd place. Just ran his fastest lap. Jesse Turner right now in 4th place. He's got a couple of career wins at road courses. And Destin Bolin, the caution saved him. That last caution that came out. He's right now in that 5th position. Dylan Pote did remain trapped a lap down, so he is scored in 36th place. Charles Sanford's going to do all he can to keep that 25 at bay, try and remain on the tail end of the lead lap. Hope that a caution comes out and saves him. Right now, Sanford, Qualls, Rick Johnson, Nathan Ormond, Dylan Young, Reggie Fogelman, Kyle Matthews, Joshua Osborne, Levi McIntyre, and Caleb Fogler where those drivers that were just coming off of pit lane that are just ahead of the race leader here, caution would save them, cycle them back around to the tail end of the field. Anthony McCurry is one lap down as we saw him get lapped, and Dylan Poti, we already documented his lap down. Those two -1, 37 drivers still running, 35 on the lead lap. Sanford, the last of those. Now Miles and Bishop, Mills, Turner, Boland, all those drivers, I believe down to ninth place or 8th place, Samuel Ryder. I don't think they came to pit road under this caution because they had pit under a previous yellow. Just joining us, we've run 8 of these 20 laps under caution. 3 of the cautions took place in the first 10 laps of this race. Subsequently, it has taken 5 drivers behind the wall, including 2 of our playoff drivers, Ryan Butcher, who is 38th, and Mitchell Collins, who is 42nd, dead last. Collins came into this race 10 points above the cut line. Ryan Butcher came into this race 14 points below the cut line. Both drivers are going to hope that next week at Nashville Super Speedway that they can right the wrongs of today at Chatham to advance into the round of 12. Right now we've got 2 playoff drivers up inside of the top 5. Bishop in 2nd, Destin Boland in 5th. Another playoff driver up here, Michael Norman. 3rd in playoff points. He is 20 points ahead of the cut line, and he right now is being scored in the 7th position. Not too far back is Ali Liera. In the 16, Ali came into this race the cut line driver, 12th in points, the position everybody's kind of gunning for. And Ali is inside the top 10 in 9th place. There's Keith Batson. He is just outside the top 10 in 11th place right now. Keith was 7th in playoff points coming to this race, 11 points ahead of the cut line. No real battles for position right now as Benjamin Miles continues to try and grow the distance between himself and RJ Bishop. Question though of when Miles and Bishop and Mills and Turner are all going to have to come to pit road. I believe that would then cycle Anthony McCurry back onto the lead lap, but as of right now, still trapped -1. Not the way that Charles Sanford was expecting this race to turn out. Had good starting track position in 3rd, was running 2nd. First 10 or so laps of this race behind Anthony McCurry. Was actually keeping pretty good pace with Anthony also. But I'm not certain, again, how it all culminated where they ended up coming off pit road just ahead of when the leaders were coming around to get the green flag. Doesn't take long to make a pace lap here, but I certainly didn't think it would take long enough that they would end up being in danger of going a lap down. But right now, Charles is running in 35th position. Last car on the lead lap. Rick Johnson also just up ahead in 33rd. Kyle Matthews. See no rear deck lid, no bumper on the Kings Island Chevrolet. Still continuing though, after he got spun into the tire barriers. Right now, Kyle is in 29th. Jack Dunnard, he is 24th place right now. Will Hoer ended up catching that caution at just the right time when he was about to get lapped by Anthony McCurry. Right now, he's in 21st. Nick Gunther, who's won 2 of the 3 road course races we've been to this season, Sonoma and the Charlotte Roval. Watkins Glen was the only track coming into today, the only road course he hadn't won at. All right, now Nick is in 20th position. There's Fitzwater just ahead, along with Laura Chung. They're in 18th and 19th, respectively. Chung was the other road course winner at Watkins Glen, by the way. Quentin Moore, right now he is 15th, just behind the hoodless Daniel Voiles. Oh, that car is running up inside the top 15 in 14th place. I'm not sure, but it is. Then we already documented about Batson, Liera, Norman, Bolin, and Bishop all having good runs right now inside of the top 11. Field has gotten very, very spread out. So the likelihood of a caution coming out is slim. It's not impossible, but it's slim. As Matt Haas trying to make his way around the lap machine of Dylan Poteet. But with that, it's starting to close things up between himself, Michael Norman, and Samuel Ryder. So could be a good three-car fight for the 6th position here in just a moment. Here's McCurry. He's got the fastest lap of the race. 40.604 equals out to just around 115.8 miles per hour. That was when he was out in front in the early going of this race, but since then he's gotten trapped into the 37th position, one lap down, and he and Dylan Poteet would love to get up there and get their laps back the hard way if they could, but they got a lot of traffic they'd have to get through before they'd even get up in the vicinity of race leader Benjamin Miles. You know, I talked about it last week in the case of Caleb Fogler when he went to victory lane. Nothing to lose, not battling for a championship, not in the playoffs. Fogler was 32nd in points going into that Gateway race. He's now jumped up to 26, but he's got that one in the win column. For Benjamin Miles, kind of the same mentality, nothing to lose. He's dead last in points. One top 5, 2 top 10s. It's been a horrible season for the co-owner of Northeast Motorsports. So pull out all the stops, be aggressive, go out there and try and see if you can pick up a victory. Miles has led 14 laps here today. Anthony McCurry led the other 14. And he'll get the bonus point for most laps led here in just a moment when he comes around and completes this next lap. 2nd place under contest, RJ Bishop and Jose Mills. RJ fighting for every point, every position, trying to have as nice a cushion as he could over that 12th position in standings heading into next week's elimination race at the Nashville Super Speedway. Behind them, you've got Jesse Turner in the 47, trying to close in on both Bishop and Mills for a spot inside of the podium. But again, the big question is for some of these drivers up here at the front, when do they have to pit? Pit road's pretty easy to get onto here. It's a straight shot. You'll see it here when Benjamin Miles comes out of the final corner. Right there, you see just you move to the left, straight shot down pit road. Coming off of pit road is a little bit more sketchy, because you'll see here you got about 14 degrees of banking into turn 1 when you're on the racetrack. You see the apron down there below? That's flat. It's a very sharp corner. Car wants to push up onto the racing surface. Back end wants to step out, especially when you're on the cold, fresh tires. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers are able to get off of pit road, maybe more so than get onto pit road, as all of a sudden the battle for the lead is closed up. RJ Bishop and Jose Mills have reeled in Miles, and Miles is going to throw in the towel. He's going to come to pit road for fresh tires. Giving up the race lead. This is a regularly scheduled stop for the 25 car, and this, I think, will start drawing others to pit road. So RJ Bishop's going to get himself a bonus point for leading that lap. Could be a very important bonus point for driver 98, depending on where he is points-wise at the conclusion. Let's see if he's going to come to pit road this time. Yes, he is. He's going to give Jose Mills the race lead. Let's see if anybody else is on pit lane here along with Bishop. Nope, doesn't look like it. Bishop's the only one. It was Miles by himself, it was Bishop by himself, which isn't normally a bad thing. You can have a pit road all by yourself. You don't have to worry about making contact with somebody getting into your stall, coming out of your stall, waiting for somebody when ferrying your way down pit road to the commitment line. It's just all you. Mills is not going to pit. He's going to stay out an extra lap or two here, it looks like. Yeah, we have Dylan Poteet and Anthony McCurry running pretty close up here inside of the top 5, top 10 leaders. Would they roll the dice and maybe try and stretch it a little bit further than some of the drivers that are ahead of them right now? Cycle themselves back onto the tail end lead lap and then hope that a caution maybe comes out. Right now, Poteet's got 3 lead lap cars ahead of him. Anthony has 6. I almost feel like that would be the strategy, right? Although the field is spread out, so, you know, the likelihood of getting a caution is somewhat slim. Then again, you never know. I do believe that the pit stops just made there by Benjamin Miles and RJ Bishop, they should be able to make it the rest of the way, just based on how long a green flag run we've had so far. And we are in the vicinity now of about 15 laps to go. So I think they would be able to make it the rest of the way. But you see right there, Bishop came out just ahead, as did Benjamin Miles, just ahead of the new race leader, Jose Mills, who may not be the race leader for much longer because Jesse Turner closed in on him there out of turn number 8. Got a car on pit road. That looked like that might have been Kyle Matthews in the 09. I saw no bumper on the car, and that's the only car I knew in the field that didn't have a bumper. Let's see if that's who it was. If we can find them. Yep, that was the 09 of Kyle Matthews. I'm assuming that's a regularly scheduled stop for him. Probably final pit stop of the day. Charles Sanford fighting. Not going to let Jose Mills put him a lap down. And now Mills and Turner are on pit road. That turns the lead over to Destin Bolin. He'll be the second playoff driver to lead a lap here today, following up RJ Bishop. Right behind Bolin is Dylan Poteet, trying to get back on the tail end of the lead lap. We're waiting on Bolin, Matt Haas, Michael Norman, Samuel Ryder, the drivers up here at the front. Noah Hendrickson, I believe, just moved into the top 5 now for the first time. Yep, he's in the 5th position. So you got both of the Haas Racing Toyota Camrys inside of the top 5 at this current moment. Reminder, next week, first elimination race of the playoffs. This is the debut round. Last week it was Gateway. Today it's Chatham. Next week it's Nashville Super Speedway. As we're looking at the number 12, we will have 12 playoff drivers at the conclusion of that Nashville SS race. Ryan Butcher, he's going to be in quite a predicament heading into next week. Don't know if it's going to be must win or not. Had a poor performance last week at Gateway, DNF'd here today. 38th place is where he'll finish out this race. Back-to-back weeks of hard luck. Not what you want when heading into an elimination race. I'd also be a little bit concerned there for Mitchell Collins, who finishes dead last year today. A lot of points that Mitchell Collins is losing out on. Was ahead of the cut line, certainly won't be ahead of the cut line heading into next week, but what is the gap? What is the points deficit going to be? Poteet trying to get his lap back the hard way. Oh no! Bolin gets spun off the nose of Poteet. Michael Norman, playoff driver, is collected. And the caution is out for the 5th time today. 2 playoff drivers, Norman and Bolin, getting together, and Michael's car is toast. And I believe Dylan Poteet did not get back to the line ahead of the race leaders. I believe Matt Haas beat him back to the start finish line, so Poteet's still going to be trapped a lap down. Michael Norman was just minding his own business, was having a great run as we've got some contact being made up here through the S's. And it looks like the engine's finally expired. No smoke billowing out from underneath now. Now that car's still under power somehow, yet it's not smoking. I don't know how that's possible. Let's go back, take a look at what exactly happened there. I believe that Poteet was trying to get his lap back. Destin Bolin makes a late move onto pit road. I don't know if he had his hand out the window indicating, hey, I'm pitting or not. But Poteet was definitely there, and then Destin Bolin decides, well, I'll cut right across the nose of the 31. Oh, just nowhere for Michael Norman to go. I can't put that on the 31 car. He was battling to get his lap back, and Bolin should have either let him go or not pitted that lap, because definitely was not clear. But that is such a tough break there for Michael Norman. Absolutely nowhere for him to go, and sets us up for a restart with less than 10 laps remaining. Now you're looking at Dylan Poteet and Anthony McCurry. They are right now being scored on the tail end of the lead lap. They're going to hope for another caution to be able to cycle back around. Noah Hendrickson is now the new race leader with Keith Batson second. Carson Gum third. Cole Deaver and... Oh, I'm sorry. Cole Deaver's actually a lap down. Quentin Moore's actually fourth, and Zachary Fitzwater is fifth. Deaver, I think, had just been on pit road, got trapped a lap down with the timing of that caution. Kyle Matthews, we saw make a pit stop. He also fell a lap down. So the 08 and the 09 are -1. The 31 and the 61 are on the tail of the lead lap. And Batson's coming to pit road as soon as we're getting ready to take the green, giving up second place. Hendrickson gets us back underway. I almost wonder if that's how Sanford and McCurry and all of them ended up almost getting lapped, or McCurry getting lapped actually, but Sanford staying on the tail of the lead lap. I'll bet they all came down pit road at 1 to green, thought, hey, we can kind of cheat the system, come to pit road, maybe catch a quick yellow, cycle back around to the front, and to their surprise, we went long green flag run, and they ended up getting trapped off the lead lap as, well, things are getting a little dicey back here. Jesse Turner trying to work his way back up to the front. Benjamin Miles there in the 25, Matt Haas in the 8. Wide, several rows deep there. They all settle it out, it looks like. Ooh, Laura Chung, RJ Bishop, Daniel Voiles. As now we got more drivers on pit road. Poteet's in, Hendrickson's in. There were a lot of drivers on pit road that lap. Carson Gum, Quentin Moore, Levi McIntyre, Shelton, Fitzwater, Noah Hendrickson. Why didn't they pit under caution? Why are you pitting under green? That's going to put them all off the lead lap. It only takes about 40 to 45 seconds to complete a lap here at Chatham. I don't understand that strategy at all. I don't know if they're going to be able to come around here, get off pit road before race leader Matt Haas catches up to them. Anthony's in this lap. He rolled the dice, tried to hope for a quick yellow, as did Poteet. But now Shelton's going to go a lap down. Just saw her. Noah Hendrickson, who led us to that green. His teammate Matt Haas swings around and puts him a lap down. I don't get the strategy calls, if I'm being perfectly honest. But now this is going to be some more traffic that Matt Haas and a lot of the leaders are going to have to deal with. Levi McIntyre now is going to go a lap down. Turner trying to swing around him. Not going to be able to do it. Now Benjamin Miles. This will be a battle for second place. Turner, Miles, and Samuel Ryder. Turner's going to clear McIntyre. Miles will look to do the same. McIntyre's got fresh tires, so he may be a little bit faster than some of the drivers around him, but Miles does complete the pass around the outside. Matt Haas, who just missed out on making it into the playoffs, didn't have a victory, finished second in overall points after leading the points for a majority of the second half of the regular season. Just out there trying to see if he can get himself a checkered flag. 7 top 5s, 12 top 10s. That is tied with Nick Gunter for most top 5s. That is top of the board in top 10s. But still has that goose egg in the win column. He should be able to make it to the checkered flag, I think, on what he's got in the tank. We'll have to wait and see. Turner there in second, Miles in third, Samuel Ryder in fourth, Jose Mills in fifth. You got to go all the way back to sixth to find our first playoff driver, and that's Ali Liera. Seventh place right now under contest, Laura Chung, Reese Banks. Looks like Laura's going to give up the spot, which probably is out of self-preservation rather than anything. Laura Chung realizing she's in position to get a top 10 run here today. A lot of our other playoff drivers have had problems or trapped a lap down, a couple of them out of the race. And how is Daniel Voiles in the 9th spot? I don't understand how that car is still up to speed, hoodless and all. Yes, aerodynamics don't mean a whole lot here at Chatham, as RJ Bishop right now holds down the final spot inside of the top 10. So you got 3 playoff drivers inside of the top 10 right now. Nick Gunter is the first playoff driver out of the top 10 in 11th place. As things run right now, from Gunter on back, got Jack Dunnard in 13th. Charles Sampras now in 20th, so that caution helped him. He was able to stay on the tail end of the lead lap, trying to pick up some spots. Zachary Fitzwater's 22nd, Quentin Moore 24th, Will Hoer in 26th, and that's the last of the playoff drivers on the lead lap. Kyle Matthews and Rick Johnson are 1 lap down apiece in 31st and 32nd. And then Michael Norman, Ryan Butcher, and Mitchell Collins out of the race. I forgot to add Michael Norman to that list of drivers that DNF'd. He and Destin Bolin as well, actually. So 4 playoff drivers out of the race. Caleb Fogler, I just noticed on my telemetry, out of the race in 36th. You guys will have already seen what happened to him to take him out of today's event. Not certain what it was, but what I do know is that the white flag was just displayed for the 8 of Matt Haas. Now, Mazda has 2 victories at road courses this season. Toyota has 1, and they're about to get a 2nd. If Matt Haas is able to hang on, which I do believe he'll be able to. Jesse Turner trying to close in, but it's not going to be close enough. Matt Haas finally going to break into the winner's circle, albeit maybe a couple of weeks too late. But he's going to pick up the win here today. It has been a crazy Roval race at Chatham. Jesse Turner 2nd, Benjamin Miles in 3rd. That's a couple of drivers that really could have used those good performances today. Turner 25th in points and Benjamin Miles dead last. Our playoff points are going to get quite a shakeup because of what happened today. The pit road strategy, I think, was the weirdest thing about this race. Drivers deciding to come down pit road at the 1 to greens or coming down when we went green. That was kind of odd. Definitely shuffled things up, that's for certain. But congratulations to Matt Haas on the victory today, as standings should be official, and indeed they are. No playoff drivers inside of the top 5, which means that nobody has a guaranteed spot heading into that elimination race next week at Nashville Superspeedway. Fogler winning last week, Haas winning this week. It's all going to be about the points next week in that elimination race. Turner and Miles, we mentioned in 2nd and 3rd. How about rookie of the race, Samuel Ryder? The 63 team's been doing pretty well the last couple of weeks. Had a great run last week at Gateway. Jumped up 4 spots in the standings to 32nd. And another good run here today in 4th. So this team's starting to put it together in the latter stages of the season. Jose Mills brings it home with a solid top 5 run. As a matter of fact, we finally done it. With Mills getting this 5th place finish, now every driver has a top 5. Mills was the only driver that didn't have a top 5 coming into this race. So that finally has been snapped. Ali Liero, Laura Chung, and RJ Bishop, along with Nick Gunther, they are going to reap some big points here. 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th. Jack Donald right behind them there as well in 11th. So those 5 drivers could be in very good spots heading into next week as far as trying to stay ahead of that 12th in the standings cut line. Charles Sanford was able to battle back for 19th, Fitzwater in 21st, Moore back in 24th, Hoer in 26th. I'm worried right now about specifically Moore, Fitzwater, Johnson, Hoer, and of course Ryan Butcher. As you see down here, 4 of the drivers that DNF from this race out of the 8 that did not reach the conclusion. Playoff contenders, Norman, Boland, Butcher, and Collins. Where are they going to be? Are they still above the cut line barely? Are they below the cut line? I mean, we know the answer for Ryan Butcher. He could be in a must-win situation going into next week. Collins wasn't that far ahead of the cut line. Boland and Norman, they had a bit of a cushion, but it may have gone away. I mean, we saw how the 35 bonus points that Nick Gunther had to start off the playoffs, so that evaporated, losing the overall points lead to Kyle Matthews in just the first race last week. So with a lot of drivers having good runs, a lot of drivers having bad runs, there's going to be, I think, a lot of jostling for spots here in the playoff points heading into next week. But Matt Haas picks up the victory here today, his first of the season, and it sets us up for what should be a doozy of an elimination race next week at Nashville Superspeedway. If you guys enjoyed today's race here from Chatham, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become a part of the crew today. We have shown you full feature results, and you are now looking at the point standings heading into next week. Keep an eye around that 12th in the standings cut line, because that's what we'll be talking about a lot in next week's race. But until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best. See you guys next week at Nashville Superspeedway to cap off the first round of the Season 6 Duracell Cup Series Chase for the Championship.